Sean Woodland, Rory McKernan, and Tommy Marquez in the CrossFit Update studios. The West Regional was probably one of the most exciting that we had over the past 2 weeks. We're going to start on the women's side, 5 men, 5 women, 5 teams heading to the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. And remember, this is a new regional. We basically smashed the West and California together. Emily Abbott comes out on top, the only woman above 500 points. E. Skirch in third place is the only woman who is a rookie amongst those 5. And then Becca Voigt makes a massive comeback on day number 3. In fact, Becca Voigt set the record for the biggest single-day comeback on the final day of competition. She was 50 points out of 5th place to start the day, 22 points out heading into event 6, and here she is now going into her 10th CrossFit Games as an individual and her 11th overall.
And this is really just kind of the cherry on top for what I hold as a Mount Rushmore quality career for her. If I had to pick, the 4 of the most influential CrossFitters on the women's side, she would no doubt be there, because you look at what she's done now, a decade competing at the very highest level. She's been on the podium. She got the podium when she was battling bouts of vertigo after a car crash that same week. Still to this date, one of the most impressive Games performances I've ever seen. She's a Spirit of the Games winner, and she's just one of those people that is a great ambassador for the sport. She does things the right way, and she's very helpful in terms of being just one of those all-around nice people that you can kind of look to kind of set the prime example.
Yeah, I think Mount Rushmore is cool. I give her like her own pyramid, or maybe like a monument,
a
monument of some kind. To put it in perspective, what Becca's done, since we started the CrossFit Games in 2007, roughly 600 unique athletes have qualified as individuals. She is the only one to have gone to 10 CrossFit Games as an individual at this point. Ben Smith will have the opportunity to do it in consecutive years. Even more impressive. But so for me, we've had the conversation, and I stand by the statement that this is even more impressive to me than winning the CrossFit Games once, is to go back this many times and simply qualify. That is 600 people who have, some of them have multiple appearances at the CrossFit Games, but no one even holds a candle to Becca's body of work.
Yeah, and I want to just kind of repeat what Pat Sherwood was saying over the weekend, is that everyone says, well, what's Rich doing and what's Matt Fraser doing? What is Becca doing? Because the fact that she has been able to have this amount of success against a field of athletes that has not done nothing but gotten better over these past 10 years, to me at the age of 36, she's 36 years old, it's mind-boggling.
And I'll double down on that, and this is not a knock on Becca or any of the other athletes whatsoever, but I think Becca accomplishing this with maybe a little bit less of the natural talent that some of the other athletes that we see up there winning championships have. So to be able to do that just showcases the amount of hard work and effort, not that the other people haven't put it in too, but that she's had to put in to be able to maintain that level.
Yeah, so Becca Voigt qualifies in 5th. Emily Abbott wins the regional, and Emily Abbott was a woman that when you looked at the field here, you said, oh yeah, she'll qualify. I don't know if at least any of us picked her to win the whole thing, though.
She wasn't my pick to win, but she was certainly in my top 2 or top 3 going into the weekend, because when I was looking through the stats, and I was surprised. I think that she doesn't have a lot of flash and bang at the CrossFit Games because she's only finished in the top 10 one time. We've seen her win events, but again, she doesn't draw a lot of attention. However, you look back, and she's a 2-time regional champion. She's never finished worse than 3rd place at a regional, and that's insane. So at least at this level of competition, she has the qualities required to dominate.
And I think she made it quite apparent this weekend that her performance overall was really a celebration of some lifestyle changes that she's made in the past year. Moving out of Canada into sunny San Diego, and really, as she might put it most eloquently, living life a little bit more aligned to what she feels like her inner spirit is. She calls herself the traveling fitness gypsy. But I think it's a testament to, if you're already a generally fit athlete and you know how to put in the time and work, making sure that your outside life makes you happy inside the gym, then great things can happen.
And I like her predictability in workouts. She does well. I like her unpredictability in interviews.
Best quote of the weekend.
You never know what's coming out of that mouth, but she's really entertaining. We love her to death, and congratulations to Emily Abbott for winning the West Regional. On the men's side, the guy we expected to win did, and that is Brent Fikowski. 488 points, edges out Cole Sager. Josh Bridges, Cody Anderson, the other Games veterans in there, and then Mitchell Stevenson in 5th place is your only rookie out of the West Regional. But look, Brent Fikowski had a plan. He wasn't on top of the overall leaderboard as early as we thought he would be, but he wound up there, and now he's going back to the CrossFit Games to try and finally take down Matt Fraser.
I love the way that Fikowski plays the game for multiple reasons, but we always talk about winning events when you can, minimizing damage when you need to, and I think that Brent epitomizes that because he doesn't get freaked out. He told me in event number 1, there was lots of expectations on him. He knew that he could have won it, but he thought that if he did, it could have blown out the rest of his weekend. So he pulled back somewhat, and then he struck where he needed to later in the weekend, and I also love how crazy he makes you guys.
I think that's you
Don't
know
include me in that
it's
one.
digging
Yeah.
at me. I think that first event was a cop-out, saying you pulled back when you could have won. To me, if you have a chance to win and you have a chance to set this tone for the rest of the weekend, you go out and do it.
But he won.
He won by 2 points, and I'm gonna be honest. For the second fittest man on the planet, yeah, you should win your regional, and you should win by more than 2 points. And when you have the guy that you're going to be chasing down at the games going alongside of you, winning by 138 points, winning by 2 points. Not to say that it's not a great performance from him, but I hold him to the highest of standards now that he's been on the podium and he has that silver medal around his neck.
But no one ever won the CrossFit Games at the regional level. So Brent Fikowski's goal was simply to get there. I mean, I get what you're saying about sending a message and preparing yourself for what that battle is going to be like, but he got himself into the battle. Now the question is, can he adjust the plan?
Probably part of an even larger plan, just luring Matt to sleep.
He
could have beaten all.
Now you're going. That's a bridge too far right now.
I would counter that and say that Matt Fraser won the 2016 games at the East Regional when he won 4 straight. I think everyone saw that, and then there was probably not a soul on the planet that in their hearts knew that they could beat him there, save maybe Ben Smith.
I agree that there's a message to be sent at the regional level, but that didn't win the games. Matt still had to go out and perform, and Brent's still going to have to go out and perform, and it's going to be a blast to watch. But like I said, I think most everybody right now is fighting for second place at the men's division in Madison. Let's go over to the team side of things, where a familiar name is on top of the leaderboard, but it's a new team, Invictus X. In fact, they bookend the standings, 544 points for that team, and then Invictus gets in the final event, 456 points for them. Torrance Training Lab, we have some women on there who are familiar with the games. CrossFit Fort Vancouver, I mean, they're always there. They should just always have a spot at the games as well as they're doing. And then CrossFit Billings slides in there in 4th place. But Invictus X, a new team, look good, really good at that regional. What can we expect from them at the games, though?
Well, I mean, really, they're just a new team based on roster, right? It's the same CrossFit Invictus that everybody has come to associate with the Affiliate Cup competition. And I believe the X stands for their 10th games, because that's what they were shooting for as well. But they have like a who's who of CrossFit athletes coming through their doors on a daily basis. And this year was no different, with the dancers deciding to take a sabbatical from the North Central and come and be on the team here down in San Diego. Then you add Wesley Rethwell, who's an individual games qualifier last year. Caitlin Cass is an individual athlete at the regional competition as well. And then if something happens to one of their athletes and they have to swap out, they've got Nunu Costa, who's synonymous with the team competition and Invictus, and then Maddie Myers, who's a former individual qualifier. So I think they'll definitely be in the hunt for a top 10. That's almost guaranteed.
Top 10, I would go with no more than that, because at this regional level, you're not going to see things like you will see at the games. Sam, in his individual appearance at the games last in 2016, he showed that he was kind of boom and bust, and I think that you'd see a lot more of that once we get to the swimming. Even Wesley Rethwell didn't do fantastic in the run, swim, run. So I think that you'd see some ups and downs, certainly enough ups to get them into the top 10, like you said, but I don't think they're going to be fighting for the top spot.
For the final time, let's send it over to Kayla Banfield for a look back at the best social media from the West Regional. Kayla?
Thank you, Sean, and that is exactly what I'm about to do. Let's take a look at some of the best photos from the West. This first one is of Brent Fikowski and Emily Abbott enjoying a post-competition burger with pockets full of gold and looking extremely attractive while doing so. Josh Bridges said, "Not everything went to plan, but it was a fun weekend regardless." Our next photo is a very long thank you post from Cody Anderson, who said despite a disappointing day 1, the support he received helped him so much through the rest of the weekend. China Cho has qualified for her 6th CrossFit Games and says it's an honor to be going back to Madison. And we finished with Becca Voigt and her team of supporters, each holding up the number 10 to celebrate Becca's achievement. Now, if you are at regionals this weekend and you're an affiliate owner, be sure to check out our affiliate lounge. There you can watch the events, get something to eat and drink, and meet other affiliate owners. I know that if I was at regionals, that is definitely where I would be, but instead I get to hang out with you guys. Back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Kayla, and be sure when you are posting on social media throughout the weekend, also next weekend, use that hashtag update show, and Kayla might use it on one of her segments. Event records, it was a busy weekend as far as rewriting the event record book is concerned. On day number 1, the 2 for the men for events 1 and 2 still stand out of Europe. Sigurdur Prastersson and Andre Ganin in the first 2 events. Gabriella Magala and Katrin Davidsdottir, they also hold on to their best marks, but for the teams, events 1 and 2, those were broken by Code 3 San Diego and then CrossFit Mayhem Freedom in the Central on event number 2. Day number 2, Matt Fraser set both records in events 3 and 4. Marisa de los Santos and Katrin Davidsdottir still hanging on to the event records for events 3 and 4 for the women and for the teams. Once again, out of the Central, OC3 Black sets the record for event 3 and Invictus X, the new mark to beat in event number 4. For the men in event 5, Brent Fikowski smashed that record in the West. Matt Fraser set another event record in event 6. The 2 records for event 5 and 6 for the women from Europe, those still stand, courtesy of Annie Thorisdottir and Laura Horvath. And then once again, the records for event 5 and 6 were set this last Sunday by CrossFit Mayhem Freedom and then Torrance Training Lab. If you want to find the event records, you just go to games.crossfit.com, go to the regional leaderboard where you have the box that says regional, select all regionals, and then just click on the event, and then you will find the event records. And remember, you will not find the athletes from Latin America there because many of their events had to be modified because of a lack of equipment. So it is not an apples-apples comparison there. Who had the most impressive performance this past weekend?
How long do we have?
Yeah, that's a good point. There were a bunch. Yeah.
I'm going to give a couple of quick shout-outs. One being Drew Wayman in the Central region, who really caught my eye. I can't wait to see what he does in the future. Meredith Root, who the story of Becca Voigt kind of overshadowed her, but I thought she was a great dark pick for you early in the year. I think she's got a bright future in the sport as well. The Panchik brothers, of course. Becca Voigt, I can't say enough, but my top spot goes to the community of Latin America for coming together, making this thing happen at the last hour, where I don't think people really understand even how big this trucker strike was until you go on to the international news and you see just how serious it was. Shut down a country.
Yeah.
It wasn't just our little fitness event that got shut down. This is a big deal. And the fact that they were able to go around like a bunch of ninjas in their in trucks and bring everything together and make the event actually happen basically in a 24-hour window when they really found out, hey, this thing's going down, was just absolutely outstanding. The best snapshot of our community that you could probably hope for.
Yeah, I've got a couple shout outs too. One, Jen Smith. I thought the way she rebounded from a heartbreaking no rep on the final lunge step in event number 5 and watched 2 athletes pass her in that final step, some points that she desperately needed to bounce back and qualify for the CrossFit Games in event 6 was great. Adam Neifer, who's the captain of Fort Vancouver.
Good call.
He personally has now is qualified for 10 CrossFit Games on an affiliate. He was the USA coach last year at the Invitational. Just all around great guy. Nick Uranker, didn't get to talk about him at all this weekend. I was so impressed by his performance, especially with the top 10 performance in the 333, something we wouldn't peg for. And then CrossFit Billings, qualifying for being the first team from Montana to qualify from the CrossFit Games, at least since the Open was included. So in the modern era, in my opinion, a great performance from them. They've got some good athletes. Hope Cicero, the former fittest woman in Montana. So nice little performance from them.
I'm going to give some attaboys to all the volunteers over the last 2 weeks. If you're a volunteer at one of the regionals, thank you so much for everything you do. These events do not happen without all of you donating your time and working really hard. And then also to our crew here at CrossFit HQ who have been working 6-7 days a week, 12, 14-hour shifts, really busting their butts to get this production off the ground, and we certainly appreciate that. Let's take a look at the cross-regional comparison now. And if you're unfamiliar with this, basically what we've done is we've created a leaderboard that would basically assumes that, let's say everybody competed at the exact same competition. And this is where we stand. And we use open scoring because we have more than 40 athletes. So it's open scoring, lowest score wins. Katrin Davidsdottir and now Patrick Vellner sits atop the overall leaderboard in the cross-regional comparison for the men. But we were talking about this earlier, and Tommy, you brought up a really good point that if you removed athletes who are not going to the CrossFit Games, this now looks a lot different, and Matt Fraser's probably on top.
Yeah, but it's still a testament to the work that Pat Vellner has put in. I think he's got one of the top 5 times, top 10 at least, in event number 1. And at least for Vellner's case, being able to beat Matt in some events is going to be huge. But like I said, Fraser's final 5 events, I don't know how you look at that and not immediately put him as the favorite. So
no doubt about that. But this is fun for comparison's sake. And again, during different regional weekends, you get excited about the events for different reasons. I'm still more impressed now with your Thor's daughters, your Horvaths, your David's daughters.
Absolutely.
Ganin the best for having these event records that stood the test of time.
Totally.
Even after people got to practice them for longer and you know that they got to watch their performances. When you're in the gym, you're doing an open workout, I'll study it. Okay, how'd you break up the reps? How'd you do it? Where should I be at what time? They could do that and they still couldn't touch those times. That impresses me more than a week 2 event record.
Final week coming up this weekend of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games Regionals. 3 more regional competitions, the Pacific in Sydney, Australia, the Meridian in Madrid, Spain, and then the Atlantic in West Palm Beach, Florida. And our coverage is getting kicked up a notch, especially here in the United States. On Saturday, from 1 to 3 p.m., we will be live from the Atlantic Regional on CBS. We'll also have updates on everything that is going on in the Meridian and in the Pacific. Then from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, switch over to CBS Sports Network, and we will continue our live coverage of the Atlantic Regional. On Sunday, 3 more hours of live coverage from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports Network. And remember, you can watch every heat of every event live on cbssports.com. That is going to be a lot of fun, and we hope that you join us for those. That's going to do it for us for today. For Kayla Banfield, Tommy Marquez, and Rory McKernan, I'm Sean Woodland, and we will see you for week number 3 of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games Regionals.